If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Tuesday, 8 o'clock. One place to be. It's right here. Squared Circle Digest. I am Sean Stanley. He is Frankie Frezko, all decked out in the MJF scarf, I guess, right? Scarf, is that what it is? How you doing, Frankie?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. It was a good weekend. Real good weekend. Not only Memorial Day, we know what that weekend is all about. To remember those that paid the ultimate sacrifice, but ultimately it was a good wrestling weekend. It started Saturday in Saudi Arabia with WWE United Champions. Then Sunday it was NXT Roadblock. Or no,
Battleground.
I'm sorry, I said Roadblock. Battleground, and then AEW Double or Nothing. Yep. And then my NASCAR race got rained out. That was supposed to be Sunday night as well. It got moved to Monday, so it was a good weekend for me.
Yeah, I obviously did not see Battleground.
I obviously did not see Double or Nothing live.
But the thing is that they made a mistake putting both of them at the same time. So
yeah, it's not going to happen. What happened was normally on those weekends, what would happen is NXT gets Saturday, and then usually the WWE pay-per-view gets Sunday. The problem was they were in Saudi Arabia, and they had to be back for Monday Night Raw. So therefore, they couldn't go on Sunday. So they went Saturday, and then they had to move. They were ultimately, I don't know why they didn't do an afternoon show instead of, just doing it. But I guess they probably already had the arena and everything else there. But I mean, it is what it is at this point.
WWE making the best out of it, right?
Well, I mean, look, man, I'll tell you right now, I have NXT Roadblock thoughts. Here's my thought. It was like a Tuesday night show. There was a couple different things that, like a couple little big moves or something, but to me, it was like watching the Tuesday show. I like NXT. I think the performers are great. But again, it's the same thing I have an issue at times with AEW. There's no long time storytelling. And I understand that is you're in the NXT to learn the WWE way, and ultimately you're going to get pushed up. So I get it. You can't run, storylines per se, because you never know who's going to get moved up. But you could make it a little bit more intriguing rather than just having, Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes just keep beating the crap out of each other. Although it is fantastic to watch, though.
I saw a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I catched a little bit of the replay. So I saw maybe the first fight, which was like a triple threat match.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't.
But the performances were great. The matches were great. I got no problem with that. It's just it's like watching Tuesday night. There's no.
I mean, I think Carmelo was like getting announced like with a special entrance or something like that is what I saw at the beginning. But besides that,
it was his hometown. It was his hometown.
Yeah, so it wasn't, he was promoting Boston. Sucks for them because they lost against the Heat, but but yeah,
3%, baby. 3.
But apparently, yeah, that was the situation with that. And then I did see a little bit of Braun Breaker here and there. I think the problem with NXT as well, besides it being like the normal NXT, is the fact that it just, I don't know about you, but I tend to see a lot of moves get missed. Is it me or is it not? Like I see them doing a lot of like glitchy stuff. Like they'll miss a kick here, they'll miss. I mean, I know
they're there for. I'm saying that's their. That's where they get to work on everything and then work on it in front of live audiences. Which I like the fact that they do throw them out there every once in a while at pay-per-view, even though it's really not pay-per-view, but to go out there and do. Because ultimately, here's the funny thing too. Like tonight's NXT's kicking off here, and actually just kicked off. You know what the first match on the NXT show is?
No, what is it?
It is the weapon steel cage match between Jace Jane and her former tag team partner. Why wasn't that on the pay-per-view?
Yeah, probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just seems like everything's a Tuesday night delight.
Do we know how they did ratings wise?
I have not seen that as of yet. Hey, by the way, getting a lot of thunder and lightning here. So if for some reason I drop, I will jump right back on. And so you might have to carry a little bit. I just saw my lights flicker. I don't know if we had any lightning. It's starting to storm really bad here. So just so you know, if all of a sudden I disappear and Frankie pops up by himself, I'll try to rejoin as soon as I can. Well, I did not see anything yet as far as ratings go, but also you have to remember it was a holiday weekend. So I don't know how that goes. Those numbers might be out today, which means we'll probably get them tonight through the sites ultimately.
Again, I like I said, I didn't catch the full show. I saw, like I said, the very first fight. There was some nice, highlights, and then I saw a little bit of the Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker, and I saw that Carmelo Hayes won. But again, those are the only two kind of guys that I find interesting. And I was watching and reading some of the reviews, and they were saying that it wasn't even that great of a fight. I saw some stuff, but
it was an extension of Tuesday night. There's just nothing there to make you go. But again, it's on Peacock, so I'm not spending anything for it. So, again, it just gives them a chance to perform like on a, like an air quotes pay-per-view type audience. And real quick, we got people already in the chat. My dad, what's up? Steven Gonzalez, Sean Madu, what's up? We'll get into the bloodline. That's coming up here in a minute. EWD Jr. Hey, gentlemen. And Terry, what's up? So again, that's pretty much, we probably spent way too much time on the NXT pay-per-view, honestly, right there for the 6 minutes we just spent on it. But it's one of those things that where, I enjoyed the in-ring action. To me, I like the storytelling aspect of pro wrestling, and I don't get that on Tuesday nights. And I do understand why, like I said, but let's move on to WWE Night of Champions. From Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so
I want to do, look, man, I saw that, Seth is going first because he's got to fly back to do shooting and stuff like that, dude. The pay-per-view is 3 hours long. You probably got a private jet. Dude, that match should, if you want that belt to mean something, the World Heavyweight Championship belt, that match needed to be last. Not first.
Or at least towards the end of the show.
It needed to be last. If you want, you're sitting here, you come out there, Triple H, and you say, I've got a game-changing announcement to say. We're making a belt just for the Raw brand. And by the way, SmackDown competitors will be able to compete for this Raw brand title. And then you go and you put the damn thing on first.
Again, I had no problem with them putting it towards the end of the show. So either the main event or the co-main event, because I knew Roman Reigns was going to steal the show with the whole bloodline situation. You mentioned it. I think that Cody and Brock should have opened, to be honest with you, because there wasn't no belt. And you know WWE, what they're doing now is that they're trying to get a pop at the very beginning. So if they want to do that, they should have put that fight first.
Yeah, but they did get the pop because they had Seth out there with the singing for, whatever. And then, a great match. And then Seth, of course, walks away as the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. And the belt does look freaking sweet on him, by the way.
It does.
The belt looks very sweet on him.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looks
and
nice.
then last night on Raw, AJ and him took on the Judgment Day.
They did.
How about that? How about your boy there, huh? Dom got laughed at.
I mean, again, you're putting little things. You're mentioning him. I like the way that they're treating him.
I think it's great. And I also love the reaction from Seth and AJ. Like, they started laughing him out of the bit. It's great, dude.
But
That's what Dom is, because as soon as they said Dom's name, what happened? The whole place lit up. Boom.
Yeah, but what you see how they're bringing him in slowly? They brought his name up. They laughed.
They're not. Trust me.
Before Dom would be even mentioned, they wouldn't even mention Dom. So by them just going ahead and just
but he's getting his reaction regardless, man.
That's a good read. That's good.
As soon as he goes to talk, he's gonna get booed.
That's
his weasel thing. That's the weasel.
That is awesome. That's exactly what we want. We want Dominic to start growing little by little.
Yeah, little by little, Dom. Little by little, Dom. Condom. Little condom.
He's good. He's good. Watch. When we talk about this sooner or later, you're gonna be like, damn, Frank, what the hell did you say? What the hell were you thinking?
Let me tell you this. If Condom gets into the main event picture, I will stop watching wrestling altogether.
I'm not saying that he's going to be a main.
Squared Circle Digest, or I will hand the Squared Circle Digest off to Frankie Frezko, and I will ride into the sunset on my little pony.
Let me save Chad's number. I see Chad on the chat, so I'm gonna have to call him.
Yeah. You're gonna get Chad in there, because Condom will not be. I'm telling you now, man.
I'm not saying that he's going to be a main champion, but I wouldn't mind him challenging for the Intercontinental belt or something like that, or USA belt in the long run. Why not? Yeah. He has it. He just needs to develop. He needs to develop, and that's what they're doing.
And don't forget chat, and then make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, everything else that you can do to help us out. Steven said, I don't know if you guys saw Monday Night Raw last night, but if you look closely, Seth has a wardrobe malfunction. His pants ripped. And actually, they made light of that in the back. AJ, when he was like, hey, I'll be your partner, man, but first you got to change your pants. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got to rip. I got to go. And so they made light of it. But, yeah, he ripped his pants at some point. I'm not sure where it happened, but.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, also Night of Champions, Becky Lynch took on Trish Stratus. That match kind of a little bit of a wrinkle there with the whole Zoe Stark now being Trish's, I guess,
sidekick or something.
Sidekick, lackey, whatever. She's going to train her and make her the next, Stratus faction there, I guess. But interesting enough, on Raw last night, they introduced the 2 Money in the Bank matches for the women next week. It's Becky against Sonya Deville.
Yes.
And it's Natalya against Zoe Stark.
Correct.
So you'll probably get both of them into the Money in the Bank, or maybe one of them cost the other ones, or so I don't know. Maybe they cost each other. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I can't see Sonya Deville and Natalya being in the Money in the Bank. I may stop watching wrestling there too as well. There's a lot of things that might stop me from watching wrestling.
You can't put Natalia in Money in the Bank if she just got destroyed by Rhea Ripley in that championship.
Yeah, sure you can. She's not gonna
I went.
We ain't got full of women there.
I went to go drink some water, and then I came back, and the fight was done.
You don't leave with that mat when Rhea Ripley comes out.
That took like 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, and then
Natalia was just over there because it was one of the things where I believe, she's more on the back end of her wrestling career. She's doing other things now, and this was a chance for her to go back over there where she was the first woman to wrestle, and just to go over there and get everything. Now it's different too because when they went over there, the women thing was still a little bit. If now, they include the women wrestlers in a lot of the functions that they do. So there's some things that changed,
But notice what one thing I noticed is that all of them have their whole outfits covered up.
Oh yeah. That's not gonna change. They're not gonna be able to walk out there and it's not the United States. That's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then
what else? Gunther, he beat Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali got a good pop. He didn't get a bad pop.
That's what I figured. It was going to be a good pop. He might get a little bit of offense, and then Gunther beats him down.
It was a good fight. I actually enjoyed it. It was a good fight.
It was good. I mean, I think Mustafa Ali, again, I won't say he's underrated. I just don't think they use him to his full capacity. I was happy when they made that what was it, Retribution?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I like that group a little bit just because he was able to do something, and he's that kind of person. Like if you watch him on social media, he's always, he's always talking out and things like that. So, but
is he the only one that stayed for Retribution? I don't think any of those guys are wrestling anymore. It's only him, right?
No, they're all there.
They're all still there.
Yeah, Mia Yim was the lady. That was Mia Yim. Now she's Michin.
Mm-hmm.
Massey.
I gotta look at their faces again to remember.
Massey was the one in the well, I don't even know if they're still doing the Maximum Male Models because Maxine Dupree came out.
Yeah, you saw that?
American, with the
I love that.
Academy,
I like that. I don't like the male models.
Massey was Mace.
Oh, okay.
That's who Mace was, and then Dijakovic or whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
He's in NXT right now.
Okay. That's
so they're all
why.
still there. Yeah. And then to me, I think the surprise was Asuka also defeating Bianca Belair. I liked the way that they did it with the mist, and then she put it on her fingers like the Muda used to do and rubbed it in the eyes.
Yes.
And it was good to see that. And then now I'm wondering, because again, there's a lot of talk and a lot of chatter that Street Profits and Bianca Belair were going to start becoming more edgier and then possibly, going a little bit more heelish. We'll see now maybe if something starts working. I'm not saying that they're going to come out this week and it's a heel Bianca, but now I think with this, it'll allow her to start being more than just that baby face character because now something's gotten stolen from her. You know what I'm saying? So it gives a little bit more edge to her character to be, going after somebody. And now we'll see if they start rotating that in a little bit more and see if she gets a little bit more edgier with that character. I hope they do because I think, dude, the ceiling, I mean, I don't know what the ceiling is for Bianca Belair. She's very athletic. She stays healthy. She stays there all the time. Maybe again, outside stuff might interrupt some stuff.
Yep.
But that's about it, man. That's about it. Because again, with Becky, I was like, there's nothing going to stop her. And then baby, and then now movies, and so. But it's one of those things.
One thing that I will say, and this is just my opinion, I thought Bianca and Io Sky was a better fight than the Asuka versus Bianca Belair. I thought it was a better performance between those two than the last one.
Performance because you expected less from Io.
Well, I mean, I don't know because Io delivered.
Yes, but nobody expected her to deliver. You went in like, oh, okay, this is gonna be an okay match, and then you're like, okay, Io, that was a great match because you didn't have high expectations for it.
I don't know, man. I'm to the point right now that I'm starting to like more Io Sky than Asuka. That's just me though. I guess it's because of that performance or whatnot, but I'm starting to like her more than Asuka. Even though Asuka won the belt, and I like Asuka, but I don't know, man. I think Io Sky, man, they have something
No, I think
special
they
in
just
that
bring
girl.
their own stuff. I look, man. I think Io Sky's gonna get there. Io Sky's gonna get there. She's got plenty of time. I think it was the right. If you're gonna put the belt on anybody on SmackDown right now, off of Bianca Belair,
Yeah.
Asuka would be the person.
Is Asuka's in SmackDown, right? She got
Yeah,
drafted in SmackDown. Okay,
yeah.
man, makes sense.
So
So good.
we'll have to see how it goes. Armando Swaim asks, who would you consider the next Jim Cornette? And do we need more guys like him back? I'm torn here. I'm torn. Because I will tell you this. I like Jim Cornette on screen
Correct.
as the manager of the Midnight Express. I agree with all that. The one thing I don't like is the fact that he is the end all be all. I get it. He's worked with WWE. I get it. He's done all this stuff. But this is a new age of wrestling, man.
Correct.
And that's the one thing that, where I think like you got to come of age with it. I get it. There's still some things where I look at it and go, the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably get into a lot of it when we start talking about Double or Nothing. Because there were some things I saw there where I was like,
Don't start.
very cool on the aesthetics, but my God, what the hell? Why?
Don't start.
So there's things to where I'm like the old school guy where I'm like Cornette, where it's like, what is this? This isn't pro wrestling, but I just think that sometimes you got to change with times, man. You have to change with times. And I don't feel like, and I won't say all the time, but 99.6% of the time, he doesn't change.
I like Jim Cornette, but that's wrestling back in the day, bro. That's just me. That's how I look at it. I don't see. We need to move on, and I just I don't know. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to see him again, and I wouldn't want to see somebody kind of like portray his same type of managerial character, even though he did a good job as a like on screen. But still, I'm over that. It's like you said, it's a new age for wrestling. Some stuff you're gonna like, some stuff you're not, but we got to move on. It's kind of like who I was big on Bobby the Brain Heenan. It was the same way. Like I like him back in the day, but would I want somebody like that in today's wrestling? No, because we moved on from that. But that's just me.
Yeah, but see, I still think you can have that. You can still have that intact. Don Callis is that right now.
I'm not well. Don Callis is okay, but you see how they have to go above and beyond for him. So, but
well, they don't have to. They do because he's Kenny Omega's
because
the whole thing there. But
because they need to broad interest on him.
No, yeah, but it just he's a heat seeker without that. It's just I feel like sometimes, and you know what? Let's not get into that yet. We'll dive into that when we get into AEW stuff because. Again, I need to try to move through this tonight, and I'm trying to get through. I don't have a lot of WWE except for what I'm about to talk about. Well, two things. One, Cody against Brock. I like the way they portrayed it. Cody passes out. He doesn't give up. That's exactly what they needed to do.
That's what you said?
No, that they had to because if Brock beats him clean, there's nothing you can do. At least now you can be like what they did last night. You didn't, you might be the beast, but you're whatever. You're not the man to beat me or something. However, Cody put it down there. So it's one of those things to where I think they figured that one out pretty accurately. And I think it's the only way they could have gone to keep me. And again, I'm speaking for me on this because some fans, let's finish this and then I'll get into a whole nother rant. I got it in a minute because there's some people on the internet and the wrestling Twitter and everything else. You're just freaking idiots. You're just idiots. That's all I got to say. And we'll get into that in a minute.
Well,
you think they did right with it?
My take on Cody was, yeah, they did all right. I thought it was a good idea, but we all kind of figured it was going to be that 1-1, and then they were going to go with the next third match to kind of settle the score. So for me,
What's
yeah,
next?
they're gonna go get it. They're gonna go back at it again.
Hell in a Cell.
They got to do something extreme, in my opinion.
It's got to be like a last man standing or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Or Cody can beat him using some kind of, because Cody don't beat him clean. I'm sorry to tell you guys. Sorry to tell you.
But how long is that gimmick
Like
with
Roman beat him with, right, when they put the ring on him and the table on him and everything else, and he couldn't get up. Remember when he took the tractor and he lifted up in the air? It's got to be something similar to that.
But how long do you think they're gonna last with the gimmick with the hand situation, with the forearm being messed up?
Oh, he's Cowboy Bob Orton. It'll never heal. He'll have it on the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Damn, man, that sucks.
No, I'm kidding. I don't. It's got to be. I think you got to heal it up. What? Like
the next pay-per-view?
No, the next pay-per-view is Money in the Bank. They should not. To me, Cody Brock should not be on Money in the Bank.
I agree.
It should be SummerSlam or what's the next one? SummerSlam, I believe.
I think it's SummerSlam. Yeah, I think it's SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, then Survivor Series.
That
Royal Rumble. Yes. So it'd be SummerSlam. That's where you book the third meeting.
Yeah.
The third and final meeting is, and not only that, but now you have eaten up 4 months. You've eaten up 4 months of Cody time to keep him, out of the picture for a little bit and keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see I'm very interested to see what they do for the match, because at this point it can't be a basic pro wrestling match. It can't be a cage match. It's got to be, to me, well, you know what? I guess I could do the cage. I hope they bring back the old school cage matches where you got to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock throws him through the cage, and then Cody falls out and do the old, like Stone Cold when Paul White interfered. The Big Show made his debut in WWE at Valentine's Vengeance against McMahon, and he grabbed Stone Cold, throws him, and Stone Cold hits the cage, it falls, and then he rolls out and wins the match. Something like that, to where Cody can win, and then you got to keep, not that you can make Brock really look weak, but it's about making him, keeping that whole thing strong at the same time.
I just looked it up. So July the 1st is Money in the Bank, and then August the 5th is...
That's in UK, right? The Money in the Bank's actually in UK.
Yes, in London. And then SummerSlam is next, August the 5th in Detroit.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, I think so. Cap for Life, what's up? He said, heard Jericho got banged up this past weekend. We'll talk about that in the AEW things. And then Josh said, Sean, I'm glad Bianca lost finally. You had to find the right person. I think it goes also with another thing that's interesting with AEW that happened over the weekend as well. We'll discuss that. I saw that on the
I love the fact that Sean keeps bringing up AEW. I love it.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to talk about on AEW because it's thumbtacks for Cody versus Brock. Thumbtacks is overused. I can never see thumbtacks the same way. AEW ruined thumbtacks for me.
No.
That's all I'll say on that end.
No. That was beautiful.
We'll discuss that also on the AEW side of things.
That was insane.
And then finally, it has happened.
Uh-oh.
It has happened. The bloodline has imploded. We the Ones have gone their own separate way. Maybe. And Solo and Roman look to be on the other side of things, of course, with Paul Heyman. But the interesting thing that out of everything that's happened, when they finally do all this, and Boss B, good to see you, my man.
Yep.
They finally do all this. It's not Jay that does it. Jay's the conflicted one still. It's freaking Jimmy. Jimmy says, I'm going to do what you should have done. And sure enough, lays him out with a super kick. And I thought it went well with the way the match, and of course, keeping the belts on Sammy and KO, and of course, Solo, of course, got to take the pin. You can't really, at that point, I don't think Roman can take the pin. It's got to be Solo there. And it was very interesting to see the way the saga's playing out. Jimmy was the one Jimmy didn't want Sammy. Then he befriends Sammy. Then he's conflicted when Sammy is going through all his stuff, right? Then he gets back on track and he's bloodline. Then the whole thing now where, like with Roman, it's one of those things that where, man, I really, really am interested, and I will be tuning into SmackDown. It's one of those things where you're going to tune into SmackDown each week to figure out what is going on.
Yeah, I like the fact that they also added that spin. We all knew it was coming. We spoke about this last week, so we knew that this was going to happen. It was a really good match. Notice how they did not pin Roman; they pinned Solo, so Roman can still use that gimmick that he's never gotten beaten and stuff like that, because it was like 1,000 days now and all that stuff. Also, just FYI, it is lightning in my place now, so if I lose connection, bear with me, guys.
I got the ark being built in my backyard right now because it's pouring here.
I just heard it, like it's really loud here. But yeah, overall it was a good fight, and I like the fact that the Usos have kind of made that turn. I think this is where you start moving on from the bloodline and you start seeing that feud between, the Usos and Roman and Solo. You can't let him out, and just go run with it, man, because people definitely want to tune in. And people want to keep watching it, and they did a phenomenal job with that storyline. So I'm gonna tune in on Friday as well.
And there's still so many more layers because Jay really was looking back like, oh, I don't know, you might have made a mistake here, Jim. You know what I'm saying? But at this point, Jimmy's out. We know that much. Jimmy's made his decision. He's left the bloodline.
But did you remember that Jay at what point in time when he was so in tune with Zammy when he was part of the bloodline, and now they switched it? Now they kind of have Jimmy as the guy.
They did the whole thing when he turned on Sammy, he realigned back to the bloodline, and then that's when the whole switch kind of switched to Jimmy a little bit because Jimmy started becoming more kind of like just to his own self, and then that was just. It was amazing. And then he did go online, and then also Naomi went online, or I forgot what her name is now, in Trinity Fatu, right? That's what she's going off of right now. I'm sorry. She went online and was like, oh, when he gets that look in it, it's over. Rikishi went online and he sent out, I can't remember exactly what he sent out, but he was like, now it's on or something like that. So again, there's so many elements to this, and there's so much that Mike. Do you know how many? There's Jacob Fatu.
Yep.
There's other guys out there, Lantanoy. There's so many guys that you could just bring in, even if they're just brought in to plug to a pay-per-view, and then boom, they're gone again. There's so many layers to the Samoan dynasty part of this that you could keep this going for a while.
Yeah, there was a thing on Instagram a while back, maybe a couple of weeks ago, where you see the Usos, and they pretty much break down the whole family tree of how everybody is part of the Samoan family. And bro, it's like about 50 of them. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I didn't know it was this big. But yeah, man, they have so many angles they could go with this, and hey, man, it works, and they've done a great job with that story.
And again, I think one of the reasons it's being done so well is because Roman has input. Paul Heyman is heavily involved. It's one of those things, and usually if you look at the producer for their segments, it's usually Michael Hayes, or Jamie Howard at times, depending. It's one of those guys that are probably pretty much letting them kind of, okay, how do we want to lay this out? So they're getting the input in there, which I think is very, very much needed because again, it's got to come across as a family rift. It's not, this isn't, the old Shawn Michaels turning on Marty Jannetty. This is blood turning on blood. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is brother turning on brother. I get it. You had the Jeff Hardy. You've had, however you want to look at the other ones, but this is where the funny part about this whole thing is, of course, the Usos are brothers. Solo's their brother too.
Isn't technically his cousin?
Huh?
Isn't that technically his cousin? I think that's their cousin, no? Or their actual brothers?
Solo is the Usos' brothers.
I thought he was like a cousin.
Is the cousin.
Oh, okay.
Roman is the cousin. Solo and the Usos are Rikishi's sons.
Oh, okay.
So ultimately, and Terry brought it up right here. He says, I think Rikishi's going to be brought back to figure in the bloodline storyline to confront his sons.
It makes sense.
Turn on Roman. But now the whole thing is you still have one son on that team.
Mm-hmm.
You got your two sons over here, but you got your one son over there as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot. There's so many layers to this that, again, the Sami Zayn, organically happening has extended this, I think, to a much bigger, because this part probably would have been, leading up into WrestleMania, but with Sami there, that escalated and allowed this whole thing to, blossom and take for what has been going now for, I think it went over a year from when Sami originally on the SmackDown team or went to Roman Reigns and was gonna with Drew McIntyre. It was when Drew and Roman were fighting and he was going to try to help the bloodline take out Drew McIntyre. And then it took off from there, man. And then organically, Sammy's became what Sammy's become now as well off of that. And then you saw the whole, the interview last night where, and then also he put out, we may not have won the battle, but we won the war because the bloodline is, unraveling. So it's one of those things, man.
I like it. I think it's a great thing that they're going to go and continue with the story. And I think you do get a pop if you bring Rikishi back. I do agree with Giovanni. The bloodline story is sometimes predictable, but it's still entertaining. And there's because of the fact that you have family involved and the whole situation with like them being brothers and stuff like that. So it makes people want to tune in, even though it is kind of predictable.
The funny part about it was, I think when it first started, I said, okay, Jimmy's going to be the one to turn. And then I turned it and was like, nope, it's going to be Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, now, it's back to Jimmy. It's one of those things to where they left that wide open to where, it's one of those, they didn't get cornered in on one set. It wasn't always, sometimes you write yourself into a corner. They did not. Somehow it worked out to where they ended up not right with, as long as it's been going on, what is it now? Almost a year. They have never at any point, you can call it predictable maybe, but they have never written themselves into a spot where they had to go with this because it's already shown and been written.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like they left it on, because you could have had Sammy, you ultimately knew Sammy's not hitting KO with that chair.
No.
But what happens if he doesn't hit Roman and he just throws the chair down? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's little things where would they have kept going with the whole thing with Sammy? But at that point, it was time to, make that turn, and Sammy hit him, and then, it's been a rocket on the back of Sammy since then.
My favorite part is Paul Heyman's faces, bro. His face.
Oh man, dude, he's added so much. And again, he's added another layer to this because when he talks, we talked about it here when he did that one. He's like, Roman is upset with you too. And he's staring at the Usos, but he's pointing at Sammy and KO. And it's like, okay, who is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And he's added that layer also to where he's the mouthpiece. And you saw him working the mouthpiece with Sammy, where at one point it looked like, he was going to have Sammy out of the bloodline, but then Jay, brought him back in and did the whole thing. Another part where, it looked predictable that, okay, Sammy's out at that point. They're going to jump him here tonight, but then Jay saves him and it continues on.
Yep.
You got anything else you wanted to talk about with WWE, honestly?
Well, Night of Champions,
a little bit of things. So,
what would you give the overall pay-per-view or live event in your opinion? And do you think it was better than the Backlash?
The problem is Backlash. The crowd made it so much more like it was a different type of crowd. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I think with everything in general, I think it was a good B, a high B. I think there were matches that were A's, and there was a couple where it was like, again, the Rhea Ripley and Natalya, did it really need to be on the show? Could you have put somebody else in that spot? You know what I'm saying? Like, so there were some parts where I was like, I thought they did good with the Becky Trish. So I think a good B. Oh, you know what? I want to do this real quick before anything else. And what do you want to give it? What'd you give it first before we get into this?
I was gonna give it like a C plus, and the reason I was gonna give it a C plus because a couple of things. One, they did mess up with the heavyweight belt, giving it to Seth and making that fight the very beginning one. That by you mentioning that Trish versus Becky Lynch, that also reminded me that fight wasn't even for a belt, and that one even played after. So they could have easily had that fight.
They had to go second because Becky had to leave with Seth.
True, but they could have had Becky go first, and
it's a 3-hour show, man. Friggin' there and go last, man. I did whatever. So, I mean, my thing is, I gave it a B because of that. It would have been an A if you would have put the belt up at the top.
So I say that. Then another thing I kind of didn't like. I again back to that Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus. I'm not a big fan of Zoe Stark. Maybe she'll grow on me. I know they're trying to push her. I don't think it's. You don't need. I don't think you needed her, but whatever. The Cody situation, him using his forearm for his advantage, and then him going and getting tapped out. I agree with the decision. I don't agree with that fight being placed as the co-main event. I thought that kind of sucked. I like the Gunther and the Mustafa Ali. It was good. I just the Rhea Ripley fight made no sense. I know Natalya was there. They wanted
it was just one of those,
but it just didn't make any sense why to have that. And I like Asuka and I like Bianca. I like that they gave the belt to Asuka, but again, I think Backlash, Io Sky delivered more than Asuka. The crowd in Backlash was a lot better. And for that reason, I gave it a C plus. I think Backlash was better than
you know what though? I think I messed up.
Damn it, raining really bad here.
Yeah, I messed up, man. You know what? Rhea Ripley is the Raw. Well, she's the SmackDown champion on Raw. So yes, Bianca is the Raw champion on SmackDown. Yes, okay. Never mind. I didn't mess up. They're on SmackDown.
Wait. Rhea Ripley is the champion and Raw.
Well, yeah, but she has the SmackDown. She has the blue belt.
She does?
I think so.
I gotta look at her.
She beat Charlotte for the SmackDown champion. I never saw them. Did they ever switch over to belts like they did that one time?
Oh no, you're right. You're right because Bianca had the SmackDown one, right?
Because that's why I almost messed up because I remember Asuka raised the red belt, and then I was like, no, she's Raw, but no, she's SmackDown because they got drafted over. So
at one point in time, they're gonna have to switch those belts.
Yeah, just whatever they want to do.
But yeah, I gave it that a C plus. And I don't know what you were gonna say. One last thing I was gonna say, and I was gonna say about Monday night. I like the fatal 4-way of the women for the championship belt. I thought that was a good fight, but man, was there so many hiccups by Ronda Rousey. Did you see that? Like she was messing up everywhere. I was like, and then she wins with Shayna Baszler, and I'm like, what a small coincidence that you guys are gonna give them the belt. But yeah, she was the one messing up in every single take. I mean, it was bad. Like she messed up a lot, and I had not seen Ronda Rousey fight because I don't know. I haven't seen her in a minute. But
you have to remember now, though, too, is that like she's wrestling more. Before it used to be, more spread out to where she could probably work her match and choreograph it to the T. Now she's having to go out there and actually physically, work a match. And now you're seeing a lot of the like.
Hey, wait. And the promo that she did, correct me if I'm wrong. When she said,
whenever she goes to talk, I fast forward or I mute. I can't stand.
Wait. I think she said that they were going to be the best tag team, and to prove it, I thought she said, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if the chat saw this, but I think she said nuts instead of belts. That's what I thought she said. Because she's like, and these nuts is what shows it. And but I don't know if maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I heard that, and I rewinded it and pressed the play again to see if that's exactly what she said, and it sounded like that. I thought she would have said, "Yo, indeed, belts prove it," but I think she said nuts.
Somebody in the chat, if you heard it, I tell you now, I fast forward. I will not do that to myself. I will not have to listen to Ronda Rousey.
I thought she said that. That's what I thought, but
ever do another promo or anything. When her and Charlotte Flair were going back and forth, I forgot who on the chat. There was somebody on the chat that was in love. Was it you, Frankie? Was Charlotte and Ronda? No, it wasn't you, was it? It was somebody on the chat that was in love with that match. Like
no.
Ronda and Charlotte. They wanted to see it like every week, and I was like, I am over this crap. Now here goes maybe my unpopular, maybe my get off my lawn moment. But my God, people. I put up polls for AEW Double or Nothing and for WWE United Champions. And I put A, B, C, no good, shouldn't watch. I will tell you now, neither pay-per-view should have gotten no good, shouldn't have watched. And I had both of them led the way with that.
Well, I know we haven't spoken about AEW, but my grade for AEW is not high either.
It's not high, but it's not you shouldn't watch. Now you can debate whether I'm going to pay $49.99 for it. But I rewatched it. It wasn't unwatchable. If I'm an AEW fan or a wrestling fan, maybe if I have the money, I'm going to pay for it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? But again, it wasn't where neither one of those shows were unwatchable.
No, they weren't unwatchable.
Matches on there, maybe that might have been unwatchable. Okay, a match here, a promo, a vignette, maybe. But to give the damn show unwatchable, get off your damn high horses, AEW elites, WWE elites. Get off your high horses, man. Just because you're a WWE fan, guess what? You can actually like a little bit of other wrestling.
Yep.
Just because you're an AEW fan, you can like a little bit of other wrestling. It is just amazing to me that people will sit there and just like it was 40% AEW. No good, wouldn't watch. Not a little bit, 40%.
I mean, AEW was rough sometimes, man.
It was rough at times, yes.
It was not. It wasn't the best pay-per-view that I've seen from AEW.
Let's go ahead and jump in there now because that was my rant. I'm done, so we can jump in there.
All right, so let me switch it up here. I always got to bring my my new mic. Hold on. There we go. There we go. We got our AEW little belt there. All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about Double or Nothing. And one thing's for sure, it was an interesting pay-per-view, but it did not live up in my expectations to what I thought I wanted to see on a pay-per-view. If you're looking at from top to bottom, the whole card. Did the 4 Pillars match deliver? Yes, it did. Surprisingly, I personally think it was the best match out of all the fights that happened on the Double or Nothing. Did the main event, the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club, deliver? Yes and no. There were so many hiccups left and right. I mean, from the all right. So let me do this. Let me break a little bit one by one. So we had the Hardys, and they had to replace this guy because he was hurt. He got hurt before, so they had to put in Hook to replace him. So it was the Hardys and Hook against Ethan Page and the other guys, and obviously the Hardys won. But that fight, I don't even think it was on the pay-per-view. I think it was on
it was buy-in. It was the buy-in.
It was on the buy-in. Okay, so you were able to say it. I didn't catch it. I just saw some of the highlights. Wasn't sold. The pay-per-view kind of started once you had the 21-man brawl with Orange Cassidy winning it. Was it good? Yes, I liked the 21 over the top to start off. It makes sense.
Battle Royals are good things, man.
Battle Royal, yeah. It wasn't bad, but could it have been better? Could it have been other things that could have happened? True. I think it could have. Orange Cassidy won it at the end by, I believe, kicking Swerve Strickland's hand off the rope, and then he just falls down after that huge battle. You know, should Orange Cassidy should have won that fight? I don't know. Maybe you could have taken the belt away from him, but hey, I thought I had predicted that Orange Cassidy was
Yeah.
gonna win, so I'm not that
I
upset.
Orange Cassidy would win, but if it was a chance to take a belt off of him, that is a perfect time because technically you don't pin him.
And then, but then, you know what was the crazy thing is that you had picked Hobbs,
Yeah.
and they removed them.
Yeah, you told me that the day of. I'm like, oh, this is not good.
Like I told Sean, I was like, Sean, Hobbs is not in it anymore, and neither is QT Marshall, and they had promoted them and said that they were gonna be in it. So I was a little bit surprised why they did that. I don't know if Hobbs was injured or whatnot, but that fight was okay. It was fine. The one that really let me down, Sean, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, was Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. I was so disappointed in that fight. I don't know about you. Were you disappointed on that fight?
I've only seen bits and pieces of it. Honestly, I did not watch the fight. I've heard. My daughter is a huge AEW fan, and she commented on every match but that one. So I took it as meaning probably either she fell asleep during it or she did not like it.
It was not a good fight. The whole situation with Sabu being there and everything, it didn't
That right there
work
on
out.
Wednesday when they introduced him, I was like,
A big mistake.
"What is this?
Yep.
What does the whole thing is like? Where does Sabu play into this? Again, I go back to the storytelling. It's like, where does he figure into this?
Is Sabu from Vegas? Is that what it is? Is he from
Maybe I know. I think Van Dam's does some time in Vegas and stuff like that. Now I don't know where Sabu is at, but I just mean in general, it's like you're gonna have this enforcer, and it's Sabu, but he has no tie into Jericho. He has no tie into Adam Cole.
No.
He has no tie into anybody in that match that, as far as I know, unless something I'm missing. And then all of a sudden on Wednesday you throw this, and then even Adam Cole when he's like he's introducing him, he's like the genocidal, the homicide. I'm like, no. And it was, and again, nothing. Nicholas is saying that he's from Staten Island, so
that proves our point. Why in the world did they bring Sabu to this pay-per-view? I mean, as an enforcer, it just made no sense. It was not a good fight. I really was disappointed with that fight. Britt Baker came out, started smacking Chris Jericho with a kendo stick. Saraya came out, and it was just all confusing. Britt Baker comes out for that, but then doesn't come out for the Jamie Hayter fight, which Jamie Hayter lost. Granted, I know they were going to make her lose either way because of the injury that she has.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She shouldn't have wrestled, but she didn't want to hand the belt off, so she did. They laid out that match to work it.
But it just did not feel like a very good fight overall in general. I was so disappointed. I was like, man, I would, to the point that then they go and they do the promo that they're gonna do Wednesday Night Dynamite, Chris Jericho and Saraya versus Britt Baker and Adam Cole. And I'm like, and that's another thing. I don't like, why is AEW promoting like a fight in the pay-per-view for Dynamite? I think that's so stupid. Like, just leave Dynamite alone. If you want to promote it, you make the announcement after that pay-per-view had already passed. You don't do it during the middle of the show. That's dumb. That's like, it's dumb. And then again, Chris Jericho again with the flaming thing. He flamed one of the guys, like one of the workers from AEW. He does that flame thing that he did before to the eyes. I think it was nonsense. It was foolishness. So not only did that fight not live up to expectation, but then you have Chris Jericho doing foolish stuff out there again. Same thing that he did before, and you have them promoting Dynamite. Come on, man. It made no sense. From that point, I was like so disappointed with this card. I was like, yo, people, whoever paid for this is not getting their money's worth. And that's how I felt about that. Then you brought in the fight between FTR with Mark Briscoe as the referee, and then Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And the fight was not bad. The highlight was when Jeff Jarrett's wife hit the crap of Audrey with the guitar. That was the highlight of the night. And people were like, I even saw on Twitter that they were like, thank you. Finally, somebody hits Audrey with that. So I actually liked that. That was probably the highlight of the night. But again, it you know what? That FTR fight was not even that great. It was okay, but it was way better than the Adam Cole Chris Jericho fight. That's how bad that Jericho Chris Adam Cole fight was for me. So it was disappointing. I thought it started to get better with that fight. I don't know. Did you see some of the highlights of that fight, or you didn't see anything on that fight?
FTR one?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I look. I know FTR can go. I know Jarrett and everything, but there was no way to me that FTR loses regardless.
No.
We talked about it when we made our predictions. There's no way you re-sign them, put the belts on them to win the belts, to lose them to Jarrett and Lethal. It just doesn't make sense. And I get it. You can do all the hogwash that you want to do and somehow get the titles off of them, but it just, in a professional sense, FTR is your best tag team other than Tackfoot and whatever.
The Young Bucks.
Yeah.
So the other thing, and what Tua Time is actually saying is right. The majority of the pay-per-view was not that good, but that Wardlow fight against Christian Cage started to bring, the crazy hardcore match where you saw Wardlow climb up the ladder and then throw himself and land on the tables and all that stuff with Christian on the ground. That was living up. Then they went a little bit overboard, like always. Arn Anderson biting Luchasaurus's finger, making Luchasaurus bleed. I was like, Jesus Christ, what is this?
Arn's there, he take you out, bam.
What is this? You're making this guy bite his finger? Like, you went that far to make Arn Anderson bite Luchasaurus's finger. Can you believe that? Have you ever seen like a legend like Arn Anderson to do that? Like, I'm like looking, I'm like, man, come on, dude. Like, it's Arn Anderson. He's a freaking legend. Why are you making him do silly things like this? It's just, it was a good fight.
I'm gonna say this, probably Arn Anderson's idea.
I mean, they wanted to go.
I can't spine buster the big son of a bitch, so let me bite his finger.
So you want to know what's crazy is that they started this. That kind of started leading the gruesomeness on AEW's pay-per-view because
But here's my thing too: is this? And real quick, just because I want to say his name correctly, Karoon, how you doing, sir? So now, and then so now back to what I was saying was you know how I always say WWE has conditioned their fans to where they kind of just sit there and whatever, that AEW has conditioned their fans to almost be an ECW type crowd.
Yes.
They want violence.
Yeah.
They want violence. If they don't get the violence, it falls flat. It falls flat. If you don't lock up, by God, and there's blood flowing, don't even bring it on. Don't even want to watch it.
But you want to know something? This is the crazy thing. The 4 Pillars match, there was no blood. Sammy didn't bleed. MJF didn't bleed.
No,
Darby,
but that is your super crazy Eddie Guerrero match where everybody's flying and doing all, and everybody's just like, holy shit, holy.
But that actually,
you don't want basic wrestling.
Yeah, it isn't because that's what they cater to the crowd. And why do they do that? And why they don't want the basic wrestling is because that's how they live with AEW. Their storylines are not that great, that they don't rely heavily on their acrobatics of, throwing themselves off.
They had a great story with the Jericho Cole thing and they messed it up.
Yeah, that was such a bad fight. I was so disappointed. I didn't even tune
up over time. That was a pretty good, to me, it was a good little story that they could have kept going on. That, to me, and this is the other thing that I have a problem with AEW, is they make the referees look like idiots. And I hate to say this because I almost sound like a little bit like Jim Cornette. And I get it. It's an old school methodology, but they're still supposed to be your enforcers in enforcing the rules in there. And it's like, there's nothing. I mean, every match there's guitar shots. There's this, there's chairs, there's tables, there's where does it, and again, it sounds old and I feel like I'm really sounding like, like, hey, get off my lawn, win. This is the way it's supposed to be. But at some point, if you've got all these people jumping, because correct me if I'm wrong here too, Cole versus Jericho. What was that? What kind of match was that?
It was a it wasn't like a no DQ type of match.
It wasn't no DQ?
Yeah, it was like it had a particular name. It wasn't a lumberjack. It
unsanctioned match.
Unsanctioned. Okay,
there you go. That was the one. Okay. Yes. So I guess, but see, that's where you get yourselves into problems when you have all these matches. Like all these stipulations. You got a ladder match. You got it just, why not have it? Yes, you build it up. Why not have that as a basic match? Then when Britt Baker got involved, boom, there's a disqualification. Saraya comes out, or even have Saraya do it first, so then Baker can come in for the big save. And now you've built up for whatever. If you want to do that for Dynamite, and it's done. But now you do an unsanctioned match, and you have all this crap thrown into one, and you get all this crazy crap happening. That there's too many Chiefs and no Indians, man.
Well, okay, so for the time being, what we've been talking about is how non-spectacular this pay-per-view was for AEW. Now I'll start trending to when it actually started getting better.
Yeah, so, right about midnight when it went off and the press conference started. That's right.
Come on, man. So they finally got something right. They had Jade beat Taya Valkyrie. She got her 60 wins. Congratulations. And then they opened up. They opened it up. They said, "Hey, open match for anybody." And then they brought Chris Statlander, and that was a pop. Everybody really, really enjoyed it. It was nice to see her. She's been out for like about 9 months. So, and she suffered a really bad injury. So to see her come back and then beat Jade, that kind of started to make the pay-per-view and the crowd get more and more motivated. They're like, okay, now we're getting invested in this pay-per-view like it's supposed to. Besides the Wardlow, that was a big pop when that happened.
Something that's come out since then, and maybe you already know this, but Statlander was supposed to beat her before the 60
Correct.
Away.
Correct.
It was just she got hurt, so they kept, which to me, like you're banking on. Statlander's been hurt quite a bit too, by the way. She's been injured, I think, 3 times now. 2 serious ones. And then the other one was just kind of like banged up. And now you're waiting on her to come back to take the title off of, Jade. It's like, man, yeah.
If you guys see me make some remark, some like faces, it's because I'm looking at the chat and I'm reading what the chat is saying, and it just, oh man, it just we'll talk a little bit about that, but yeah, that was kind of like when the pay-per-view started getting a lot better, and they did have the House of Black with the Acclaim. The Acclaim was the special 3 trios match that came in. That wasn't a bad match either. I like those House of Black matches where they're all like, they have special like rules in between and stuff like that. House of Black did win, so that was cool.
You know what I don't like about the whole thing? AEW sends out no highlights of the match, but they send out the rap where he says, Buddy Matthews, because Dom's got your mommy or something.
Yeah.
And then Rhea Ripley tweets out, "Hey, look, Dom, we're over in both companies."
Yeah, that was so funny, bro. That was good. I like it. But I always like the rap. The rap was cool. I like the rap. I like that.
He's doing the Cena style.
Yeah, he does.
Back in the day where you're just ripping.
And then we go to the Pillars match. The best fight of the night. They lived up. MJF lived up. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. So, okay.
Can I say something real quick?
Wait, I hope. Does it have to do with the entrance?
Go ahead.
I think it is. Okay, so one thing that did kind of mess up, but I think it was Jungle Boy's fault. Jungle Boy is the only one that didn't get like a special entrance. Each one of them got a special entrance except Jungle Boy. So it just didn't make any sense. Why? I don't know if he didn't want one or if he didn't choose one, or maybe AEW didn't want to give him one. I have no idea.
They're gonna turn Jack Perry heel.
True. Okay, that's fine, but
this is the start of it. No respect. He didn't get the entrance, right?
Oh, okay.
Making a long-term story. Again, I'm just throwing it out there because it's been hinted that they're going to start taking, more, again, like he is going to take more of a heel And I don't know how you're going to do it, man, because if anybody says babyface, it's Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. I mean, that dude does. I mean, he almost reminds me of a young flying Brian as far as the look, the build, and that he just has that babyface look.
Well, the thing is, he actually, I mean, he lives up to it too, because there was a part where he had the championship belt and he could have hit Darby Allin with the championship belt and probably won the fight, but he's like, I'm not gonna cheat, and he threw the belt down and he got hit afterwards. So it was like they sell him a lot when it comes to that baby face and that whole situation of like, hey, he's
and
the
then
good
plus
guy.
he got jobbed by Roosh the week before. Damn, Jesus Christ, dude. Getting ready to go for a heavyweight title match. You got 2 seconds of offense and you got beat down until they came out to save you. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, they're almost making them look stupid sometimes, which is why I think that might be part of the, he's going to turn on Tony Khan and be like, you try to make me look stupid. I didn't get an entrance. It just feels like there's more being built up into that. Now, here's real quick.
Okay.
I never thought the Four Pillars match would not deliver. My problem with the Four Pillars match is I never thought anybody other than MJF was walking out the champion. I had no doubt that those four could go.
Did you have doubt that
I never doubted that MJF was going to drop the belt. That was my problem with that match.
But did you have doubt that they should not have made that the main match?
Yes.
Why? If you thought they were going to deliver no matter what. Yeah, I know that MJF wasn't going to lose.
Because there's no surprise there. Unless you're having somebody attack or come out and surprise MJF at the end, there's no reason to have that as your last match. There's not.
I thought, considering what happened, I would have preferred to see that Pillars match been the last match of the night.
Oh, dude, if they would have done that Anarchy Rules match right before that crowd would have been dead for that.
True. Yeah, you're right. I agree with that.
Same reaction you got leading into it.
But overall, I mean, it was really good. There was
would have been the Lesnar Cody Rhodes match all over again.
There was a really good scene where all four of them were like submitting each other at the same time. That was creative. You also had MJF do the Chris Candido bombshell one. So that was actually, he hurt himself doing that.
Yeah, but actually also, I believe every one of them ended up doing like a move that was in tribute to who trained them.
Yes.
Somewhere in the match, different elements of the match, but everybody did like a move that was a tribute to who they felt as training them.
And then obviously at the end you got MJF. I will say this, I wasn't too fond of how he won, because I know he's a heel. I know he always wins by cheating, but I wish they would give him like a actual win, especially after that match lived up to being the best match of the night. It ended up being, him putting the championship belt on, I think it was on Jungle Boy, and then Darby Allin was doing the coffin drop, and then he lands on the championship belt, and then boom, MJF just goes over Darby Allin and covers him and beats him. I wanted to see, if there's one thing I could criticize of the matches, I want them to finally give MJF a win where he isn't cheating to win it. He could cheat throughout the fight, but that he does his move and then he just
never happen on pay-per-view matches more than likely, unless they turn babyface.
I wish they would do that.
The whole thing of Ric Flair. Ric Flair never won a match on his own.
No, and again, I'm not saying he can't cheat. I doing the whole situation, but just every once in a while, at the very end of the fight, let him make his move. Let him make him win his belt the way it's supposed to. I know he's a heel, so he's always going to cheat, but I don't have a problem with him cheating. I just wish they would towards the end of the match allow him to win it, besides always trying to put the ring on or what he did with the title. That's just me, but it is what it is. And then finally the massacre of a main event.
Hell was that?
What was okay, so I was talking to my brother because my brother was watching it, and
Nicholas is in here somewhere. I think he's still in here.
Yeah. The crazy thing was they had that horrendous band, right? And he's playing
yes
through the beginning of the match, and they're still fighting, and some people liked it, and some people were saying, "What the hell's going on here?" Because you had them rocking to that. What was that song they were singing?
Wild Thing.
Oh, Wild Thing.
Maxley's entrance.
And then they just keep fighting, and this is like you can't even hear the commentators where they were fighting, and I'm like, what is this? Like, yo, just shut the music off, let them fight already.
I think the timing might have been off. I don't think they were expected to going so long,
bro.
Because I think what the Young Bucks were supposed to get up there at some point, I believe, and do the super kick, to the super kick party to them, and it just took longer. I think with all the fighting and how they went in the crowd and everything else to get to that point. It went on and on and on and on and on.
Dude, it was like a marathon, and they surpassed their time singing Wild Thing. And yes, the cool part was they did do the super kick and they knocked them out. The brawl was really good. They went ham, you saw the thumbtacks, you saw and me and my brother were talking about it. It's like, bro, Kenny Omega and Adam Page, they took a beating, but man, did the Young Bucks really get beat down in this fight. Like he got power drive in back of a pickup truck. I think it was Matt Jackson who got it. And then the thumbtacks to the foot. And I don't know if you saw on Twitter the video that shows like his foot covered in blood with the thumbtacks. And I've always heard that taking off the thumbtacks is like what hurts
than anything else in my life.
Than when they go in.
Worst feeling in my life.
Like
was them coming out. Going in, I didn't feel it because you have all I want to say motivation, but that's not right.
The adrenaline?
The adrenaline is in your body. Like you don't feel it. Yeah. You don't feel it. And then when they're like, okay, now we gotta take it, and then it's like, wow, no. Especially too, if they get real in there. Then they got to open it up, they got to pry it a little bit to where they can grab it and go, because depending on how flat they go. And
then obviously they went, how can it not be blood if you don't now add the referee bleeding? Man.
He was the first person bleeding, I heard.
He was. And they purposely showed him in the camera because they wanted to showcase the referee was bleeding as well. So I was like, everybody, I like I said, I think I had sent you a text or a tweet to you, and I was like, look, the referee's bleeding. Kenny Omega was bleeding. Obviously, Moxley was bleeding.
Yeah, everybody but Claudio and Wheeler, I believe, was bleeding.
I think them two. Was there anybody else? Actually, I think the other guy from the Young Bucks wasn't.
Matt Jackson wasn't bleeding in his head; he was bleeding in his foot. Right? Nick Jackson, I believe, was busting open. Matt was his foot, not his head.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But man, they were all bleeding, bro. It was crazy. And then, obviously, towards the end, you got Don Callis and the surprise villain to come and give the win to the Blackpool Combat, our boy, which I thought was a smart move. Takeshita coming in and taking them out. See, what did you think about that?
All right, here's where I'm going to go with this. If this was the plan, like, I feel like they missed the boat by having Don Callis turn on him in the cage. And I say that because if Don Callis gets in this match, right? And also, real quick, Takeshita, there was so many people online going, who is the guy in all black by the camera?
Yeah.
They actually had people ask AEW, and they're like, no, that's just regular camera guys.
Yes.
This and that. And ultimately, not saying when they ask, because again, what you'll usually have happen is you'll have somebody there the whole night, and then when they go back to do a change, Takeshita comes out as the dressed up guy. So it's not Takeshita there the whole night.
No.
But when they switch out, then the Takeshita comes out. But the one thing that I would have done was that's where I would have had Callis do the turn on Omega. There. Then I would have Omega catch Callis. And then that's when I would have done, because it looked choppy. I think Callis got in the way of Takeshita when he went to deliver the knee. He pushes him out of the way, and then he's got to run and do the knee. there. But if it would have been, Omega grabbing him, going to hit him, and then he goes down, and at the same time Takeshita catches him, it's the same thing. It's one of those things where I just feel like they wasted the Callis turn during the steel cage for nothing. Because then you brought him out last week for an interview that never happened because Kenny Omega and the Bucks show up, and then the other guys show up, then Adam Page shows up. So basically you did the turn so that you could do the reintroduction of Adam Page. Is the only reason you did the turn the week before. I feel like they couldn't figure out a finish for the steel cage match. So they said, all right, this is what we're going to do. Callis, you're turning tonight, and then we'll go from there.
I didn't think it was that bad because, again,
I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I think I would have done it that way because then it would have been like, oh, he caught Callis trying to turn him, and then Takeshita would have been the one that was ultimately the one that was going to be the turn. It just felt choppy for Callis to be in there. It's like
I didn't think it was choppy. I think they made the right decision of bringing in
Takeshita. Almost took out Callis.
He did. That was a little bit of a hiccup there, but
choppy.
Overall, but the overall
choppy. Say it.
The overall idea was to bring and put Takeshita as the villain. Now, would have been nice to have had CM Punk be the villain, of course, but they're not gonna do that to a time because obviously you got Collision. They're focusing CM Punk strictly in Collision. I think on the longevity standpoint, they will bring CM Punk and they'll do something with them. But they nailed it. In my opinion, they nailed it by bringing Takeshita. I thought it was the right decision. I thought it was, they brought him in. Nobody was expecting it. They kept it really quiet. We had actually forgotten about Takeshita because Takeshita has not been around for a couple of shows.
Is that why we forgot about Takeshita? Is that why? That's why? Okay.
But I mean, I thought
Takeshita was your baby face. I think you could have had somebody else do this.
Who would they have gone ahead and turned? Somebody involved in that storyline. Who? There's nobody else in that storyline that you could have done that turn on them.
Where do they go from here now? What is it?
Man,
against Omega?
Oh yeah, you could definitely do that.
Oh, there we go. That'll put asses in the seats.
You wouldn't want to see Takeshita against Omega?
The original fans, all of them are there.
Takeshita versus Omega would be a great fight.
But again, you're placating to your fans you already have. How do you freaking grow?
Again, there is no point in them trying to grow because that's who they cater. They cater to their hardcore wrestlers. So what they're hardcore fans. So what they're going to do is they're going to run with what they know best, which is hardcore. And they're going to rely heavily on bringing other wrestlers that people know, like CM Punk, to get more and more attraction. Is it the right way? No, but it's the way they're running with it. And until they don't start changing that, I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to be like, yo, go with it. This is what they want. They want to cater to the hardcore wrestler, to the hardcore wrestling fans. Go for it, man. That's what we're going to do.
It's a hardcore AEW wrestling fans is what they're catering to.
Well, I mean, no, you got to do the hardcore wrestling fans. You want to know why? Because everybody started tuning in.
Out there with tax and everything else. You're not just hardcore. I mean, but the thing is, they cater to the hardcore wrestling fan that follows NJPW, that follows every one of these companies that they think everybody knows who these damn guys are. What happened with Jay White? Jay White?
He was in the 21-man battle royal.
Oh, there you go. That's a hell of a signing.
Well, remember, they're still
keeping be up there in the main event, and what is he doing? He's in a 21 damn man battle royal
because they still have him.
Oh yeah, that's the way to do it.
They still have him feuding with Ricky Stark. So because they still have him feuding with Ricky Stark, that's the route they want to go.
Shit.
I mean,
they brought him in as a filet mignon on a freaking trash can lid. Here's Jay White.
Jay White could be built. There could be more. Again, that Ricky Stark storyline is what they're working on right now. So that's why they can't include him in any of that main event stuff. I mean, they just brought the guy in, man. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go and say, yo, automatically bring him in and do something crazy with him. That's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to go something small and try to also help build Ricky Stark even more. So that's why they're pushing that storyline. But overall, in general, that last fight was really good. It was gruesome. It lived up, the poker chip with the barbed wire on it, Moxley and Omega. Like that was, I mean, you can't get more gruesome than what it is. Them going outside and everything. It was really good. I again, if you need me to give it a grade, I would give it a C. I think Night of Champions was better, but just a tad bit. But AEW gets like a C in my opinion for that pay-per-view. What do you think about what would you give it? I know you didn't watch it all, you saw the highlights, but overall in general,
I was saying a C.
yeah, it's not. It wasn't unwatchable.
No, that's what I'm saying though. Is like when I looked at it, I was like, the fact that on both of the pay-per-views, over 40% of the votes were, that's just trolls like, oh, I'm not a WWE fan, so it's unwatchable. I'm not an AEW fan, so it's unwatchable. If you sit there and you actually watch it, it's again, the in-ring, I love the in-ring a lot of the time. The problem is getting invested into, you know, the storylines, the things like that. Like, I like hardcore wrestling. I'm not deathmatch wrestling. You know, I'll watch that every once in a while. But to me, like, you need it to make sense sometimes. And I thought, you know, the super kick with the exploding, whatever the hell they did there, you know, boom. And then he catches the foot and he slams it and attacks. Little things like that. At least some of the stuff made sense. But just to beat the shit out of each other, to me, that's
not wrestling.
It's not. That goes into, you know, again, deathmatch has its place. Deathmatch wrestling has its place. Again, you watch it, it's okay. But that's, to me, that's not wrestling, man. I get it. If you're finishing off a feud and you want to throw the freaking kitchen sink at it, that's fine. But do you think that ended the feud?
No, because of Takeshita coming in.
That elevate that. Where do they go from this?
I mean, they're not gonna do the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club again, but they could definitely start again. What I said, the Takeshita, Kenny Omega would be the route out of it.
You don't think Blackpool Combat Club is going to interfere?
Yes, but I wouldn't say that they would have like another like a Stampede type of fight like this, like, you know.
Well, they have another fight. It's got to elevate. You can't just go. You know, you can't go to another basic wrestling match now. It can't be a 4-on-4 and everybody's tagging in perfectly. I mean,
no, but I don't see them going 4-on-4 again. You know, I think it's done when it came to that 4-on-4 type of match. Now you start pushing them out like singles fights. So Takeshita versus Kenny Omega. I don't know, Claudio versus Adam Page. You know, stuff like that we could actually go ahead and be like, okay, this is pretty cool. They went all in with that big fight, and now you have singles match for these guys. And Claudio versus Adam Page, we haven't seen that, so that would be pretty cool to actually, you know, develop on him. Wheeler Yuta was the one who actually got the pin. So hey, look, you know, another plus for Wheeler Yuta. And I know a lot of people don't like him. I'm not a big fan of him, but you know, they're making the effort. Before, Wheeler Yuta would never be involved in one of these main fights. Now he was. So though he was part of it, he was just another piece in it. But still, it's a stepping stone for that kid. So all those things are little things that I do like from AEW. Can they be better? Yes. Do I consider what they showcase wrestling? I guess when you got fights like this, not 100%.
But they do showcase wrestling, though. They have wrestling on there. Again, I just think when it gets to that point, though, it's a little overboard, man. It's like
it would be great if they had the tank full of sharks, like Tua Time is saying.
It's good. Pretty soon, you're gonna have the scorpions in there. Moxley will bring it. You're gonna have the tank of scorpions, and then somebody's gonna have to get bitten to lose the match, and it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
All right. So a couple things that way, you know, because we've dug in a lot into AEW. Word on the street is obviously MJF did hurt his forearm, and I don't know if you saw the press conference, but after the press conference, he obviously was talking about how great he was, how he's beaten everybody. You know, he's beaten Bryan Danielson. He beat the Four Pillars, in the Four Pillars match, these three guys. And you know, Tony looked kind of a little bit stunned. I don't know if Tony's just that's just how he's supposed to. Like,
he's just
the gimmick is supposed to be like that. Like, I think that's kind of the way he wants.
I'm gonna be Tony Khan while you're talking.
I think that's the way he wants to like honestly act. I think it's a show. I don't think he really is like that. I think it's just a complete show of himself doing that. But here's the thing. MJF spoke about possibly retiring. He mentioned it. Now, obviously, he's still young. Obviously, there's a lot of money to make. But he was talking about it, and he was saying that maybe there's more to wrestling. He could do more things than just that. So my question to you is, and you never see it. The only way you see a wrestler retire at a very young age is obviously if he gets injured. So my question to you is, do you ever see, maybe not MJF, maybe that's part of the storyline, but will we ever see a wrestler who kind of does like the NFL? You know how in the NFL, like Megatron, when he decided to retire early because of, the whole concussion stuff, he was scared about that and all stuff. Do you ever see a wrestler going ahead and just, saying, you know what, I did what I had to do. It's time to hang it up and leave early. Do you ever see that? Would you ever consider it? And
yes, I watched Chris Nowinski.
Okay.
He left after he got concussions, and that's when he founded the concussion thing. Chris Nowinski walked away from wrestling.
Is he the only one that has? Well, again, it was because
he's the only one, but he's probably one of the only ones that was, again, because most of them, when you're making the money, you're not walking away from it. And again, he wasn't necessarily, he was a bigger name because he was kind of getting pushed at that point, but he still wasn't like, a big name. I don't think anybody that's making money is walking away. I don't. Now, if an injury forces him out, like Edge, with the neck, things like that again, that happens. Now when you say a forearm, I feel like
just part of the show.
Like you could put a sleeve on your forearm, and I don't know how. I don't know if the bone's sticking out or.
Well, no, they thought it was gonna be worse, but it wasn't. It wasn't gonna be hurt. It wasn't that bad of a hit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I figured if it's that bad, you're not gonna have him up there at the press conference. You're taking care of.
Yeah, and then Karen.
It's Karen, right?
Yeah, Karen wrote Samoa's gonna hurt you.
No, but what he made me think of was Samoa Joe. We made him go to the booth because of concussion. Same with Daniel Bryan. They benched those guys. They wouldn't let them wrestle. And when the time came, they both left and went to where they're going to wrestle. So, another one that walked away, Corey Graves, went into broadcasting because he had too many concussions. Now, he was wrestling and he went and ended up going into broadcasting. Same with Wade Barrett, the injury, and then he went into broadcasting too. But again, that's not on the level of a heavyweight champion of a company. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's a little bit different.
Yep. And the last thing I wanted
Paige also to a time said Paige did have to step away. So yeah, again, it's happened on that, and to a time. Thank you, man. I'm going to try to, market that TK impression. I think that's my new thing from now on.
And last but not least, the story that is starting to kind of make its way around social media is the return of Ryback and the possibility of Ryback joining AEW. What do you think about that? I know earlier somebody had said in the chat, I don't remember who it was, but they said they should have brought in Goldberg instead of Sabu, which would have been an amazing idea. You would have gotten a better pop.
Yeah.
But you got Ryback. Ryback has this show on YouTube. Ryback has his show on YouTube, and he showcased the video, and then boom, right there at the very beginning of the video, it shows AEW. What do you think about Ryback making his return now to AEW? Come on, that was a good one. I like it.
Here you go.
Two thumbs up, baby.
Can I tell you something?
Who
did CM Punk say was a jackass in wrestling?
I don't remember.
It was the worst guy he ever worked with in the ring.
Probably Ryback.
It was Ryback.
makes perfect sense. You bring Ryback, you put CM Punk, let them go at it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's Tony Khan. That's Tony Khan.
Yes.
In full effect.
Well, have you seen that CM Punk and the Danhausen like back and forth that they're going at it? Like
he took everybody's face off of the poster and put Danhausen on every one of them except FTR.
What's up with that? Why?
Except
Why?
For, FTR, I think it was, right?
I don't understand why he's doing that. I don't know what's the big like. Does he think he's gonna fight eventually Danhausen? Like I don't want to see that fight, but
I think they're like some kind of like friends or something somehow.
I thought Danhausen because I remember they went back and forth on Twitter, and I think Danhausen had said something bad about CM Punk, and then that's when CM Punk started saying back stuff.
Danhausen started to become my favorite guy.
But yes, Ryback is good, Karen. Exactly. Ryback would be a good pop for AEW. You bring back the guy that wants to get fed. You feed him, and now you're gonna feed him in AEW. Oh. What a pickup that would be for AEW. Bring back Ryback. Memo knows that they need to sign Goldberg immediately. They need to sign Ryback.
No, he said Gilberg. Gilberg is who they need to sign. With the sparklers and everything.
Come on, two at a time. You know that we need him. We need Ryback. Ryback wouldn't be a bad pickup. Goldberg, you could only bring him maybe to give him his last match.
Wouldn't be a bad pickup, really?
Who, Ryback? No, man. You just said it. Look at the feud you could put against CM Punk. I know Ryback likes to hurt people, and I know Ryback is not the easiest wrestler. I mean, a lot of the AEW wrestlers already get hurt, so I can only imagine the type of fight it would be with Ryback.
How about you make Hobbs your Ryback?
Whew. How about you put Hobbs versus
Ryback when you have a Hobbs right there?
Ryback versus Hobbs. What a fight. What a fight. Yes, sir. Look at that. MJF versus Ryback. Woo! Look at all those beautiful matches you could create with Ryback, man. Come on, man. You know it. Why am I wearing the MJF scarf? Because we know that MJF needs a challenger. And Ryback would be another one out there that he's never faced. Bring him on. Ryback. AEW. I don't think they're going to bring Matt Cardona.
Ryback against MJF. If I'm MJF, retire, buddy. Retire.
No, actually, in that particular fight, I would actually want to see MJF cheat and like do something and hurt Ryback to the extreme. So yes, MJF against Ryback, but obviously it would be Ryback versus CM Punk first. And Matt Cardona still out there. I see. And wait, hold on a second. I did read, and you're shaking your head.
No, Matt Cardona would be good. I'm not shaking my head at Matt Cardona.
No,
I just don't think he's going to go with AEW.
You're shaking your head because Ryback is actually not only being considered by AEW. WWE was trying to go after Ryback as well.
You heard that from Ryback officially, right? Ryback's official Twitter account said
both of them going after it.
Said WWE's going to feed me more.
Matt Cardona is another one that both WWE and AEW are trying to get. I don't think he's going to sign with AEW because he's been speaking really highly of WWE and he wants to go to WWE because he's never had like a real great run in WWE. So that's why he wants to go over there. I think they're going to sign him over there. But it would be nice. You bring those two guys over. I don't think you need Matt Cardona because you already have the talent. But now with the new show that's coming on board, I mean, you're going to have to showcase a lot. We got 5 hours.
You don't have anybody else you can showcase. I mean, you know, Tony Khan, there's nobody else on your roster that you can showcase on these 2 hours. So let's go out and sign Ryback. Let's go sign Goldberg. Bring in Matt Cardona. Hell, is there anybody else you want on this list there?
Let's have Monet once she gets better.
Okay, there you go.
Mercedes Monet. And Naomi. Don't forget about Naomi. We need
Trinity Fatu. Let's bring her in too.
We need to bring everybody.
Anybody else?
We need to make AEW great again. And the only way
so now you've added 2 hours of TV, but you brought in 7 more people that you can't have TV time for.
You need more people for that Collision show. You got 5 hours. You got 2 hours in Dynamite, 2 hours in Collision, and 1 hour in Rampage.
Did you forget 5 hours. The guys that are on the roster still?
Who?
Did you watch the 21-man battle royal?
Yeah, some of those 21
How many of those guys have been on TV in the last 2 or 3 weeks?
There was a good chunk of them. Mm-hmm. There was a good chunk of them that were there.
Actually doing matches, not the little vignettes so we can make sure people can see you. Bullet Club Gold. You know, I mean, yeah. Jay White, let's sign him. Let's say, great job, buddy. You beat up a guy in the locker room, and then FTR comes out for the save.
I mean, when Orange Cassidy won, the last 4 guys that were standing there was Swerve, Big Bill, Penta, and Orange Cassidy. Yep. Now you always see Penta fighting because he's the Ring of Honor champion with Ray Felix. You have Big Bill, who's always with his group.
Always fighting.
Well, he has fought against Orange Cassidy before.
Right. And you need 4 out of 20. What about the other 16 guys?
And then you had
What about Keith Lee?
They were there. They were in Rampage.
QT Marshall. What about all these guys?
QT Marshall doesn't. Nobody likes QT Marshall.
Did you even freaking say Rampage?
They had Keith Lee and Dusty Rhodes in Rampage. And don't be talking about, hey, Rampage. They had 496,000 viewers, the highest growing in the past month for AEW, because they finally put the show on the right time that it's always been, 10 o'clock. And that's the only reason people tuned in. It's probably going to
be moving soon, too, because you've got the playoffs and the finals starting, and that's going to move it around, too.
Well, the NBA playoffs is on ABC. Yeah. The NHL playoffs.
NHL is on TNT.
Yeah, the NHL is on TNT, but the first game of the NHL is on Saturday. Yep. And I think the first Panther game here is on a Thursday, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday of next week. So maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not sure. But either way, look, people say, hey, Rampage sucks and all that stuff. But hey, you had 496,000 viewers looking at this show when they put it on its regular time, because they've been throwing it left and right, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, Saturdays.
God, you are something else, buddy.
AEW, baby, bring Ryback. Hashtag bring Ryback. Bring him to AEW. Make that guy great again. Bring him. FYI, I don't like Donald Trump, but bring Ryback back to AEW.
Hey, so hold on here real quick. Hold on.
Put him against CM Punk. What a fight. What you guys think? You guys don't want to see Ryback? And imagine you put him in the video game. Yes. Feed him more in the video game. The video game is coming out next month.
Okay, so what was Rampage's number?
Rampage's number was 436. My bad.
436.
436.
Impressive.
Consider that before they were at 2-something, like 220 or 240.
NXT did a 578.
How much? Let's go. Okay, tell me when you went on Twitter on Sunday, what was trending? Was it NXT or was it AEW Double or Nothing? Because when I went on Twitter, AEW Double or Nothing was above NXT.
Why are we moving the goalposts? We're talking Rampage. I'm not talking the pay-per-view.
Well, you're making it seem like NXT is better than AEW. That's not what Sunday showed.
NXT pay-per-view, the NXT show on Tuesday did a 578.
Yeah, because it's on a Tuesday, and because of the fact that Rampage is taped. If Rampage wasn't taped and it was on a Tuesday, I bet you they'll smack the crap out of NXT.
Hey, calm down, Mr. AEW.
We did it once.
I'm not the one that chose a 10 o'clock time slot. That's.
But you're making it seem like you're making it seem like Rampage is doing her. It's not doing great.
468 for these guys, dude. It's recorded. Nobody watches the crap. SmackDown did a 2.1 recorded. That dropped from their 2.4 the week before because it was recorded.
I didn't watch SmackDown.
Nobody's gonna watch it half the time.
True. I agree. But hey, man, that's what I'm telling you. This conversation started with you saying, "Hey, where are you going to showcase these fighters?" I mean, Keith Lee and Dusty Rhodes was on Rampage. People, 431,000 people watched it. They saw Keith Lee and Dusty Rhodes on there. Somebody's on. Almost 500,000. That's the truth. You could hate whatever you want to hate, but at the end of the day,
dude, let me ask you this right now, okay? If you're signed to a contract and they're like, hey, we've got 4 hours of live TV, but we're sticking you on the hour that's recorded. That's the lowest watched of our shows because we think you're good.
I mean, you're gonna have 5 hours of show, and one of them is gonna be recorded. Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it being recorded. You still got 431,000 viewers watching me wrestle. I mean, how much are you watching? How many people are watching in an indie show? 100?
Can I throw out a stupid idea to Tony Khan?
What?
Don't you have some guys that are on the West Coast? Some of your performers are maybe on the West Coast.
Okay, and what about it?
So why don't you make Rampage on Fridays a house show, and then at 7 o'clock you're live for the 10 o'clock start, so that it's a different show. And then you do the house show once the cameras go off.
Yeah.
One Rampage on the West Coast.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. But you're making it seem like Rampage is, because it's taped, it's crap.
Like wrestling on YouTube.
Huh?
It's like dark elevation, dude. That's the same things.
It's not. What would I rather be? Would I rather be on NXT Tuesday Night Wrestling, or rather be on Rampage or in AEW? I'd rather be in AEW Rampage, to be honest with you, than NXT. I'm telling you right now. I'm not tuning into NXT. I don't think NXT is a developmental type of wrestling, man.
That's the dumbest. I feel dumb just for have heard that.
No,
absolutely is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
That is not the stupidest thing. You prefer
would rather go to Rampage taped show.
Well, not all of them are taped, but some of them are.
What Rampage has not been freaking taped?
There's been a couple of them that have not been taped. There's a couple of them that have been live.
2 live shows a year. Are you kidding me?
No, it is not. See, look at that. I'm so right that his camera went out. Guys, I'm telling you right now, AEW. Besides it being taped, I think the reason I would choose AEW is because AEW is bigger in my opinion than NXT. So that's why I would go to AEW instead of NXT. But look at that. Look at that. Sean got kicked out. That's what I'm talking about. I was AEW kicking Sean out of here because he prefers being in NXT. And right now, I like NXT, but NXT does not live up to the hype. Tell me how many of you guys went and watched that NXT pay-per-view. Nobody did, man. And when you went on Twitter, when you got on Twitter and you looked at the trend, you saw that Double or Nothing was number 1 and NXT was number 2. And even Triple H came on social media saying, hey, this is the last time we're going to put NXT one-on-one against AEW. Why? Because AEW always surpasses them. Okay, you want to come, you want to complain, you want to say, hey, Frank, you doesn't make any sense for being taped in Rampage. Okay, perfect. But you know what? AEW is better than NXT. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's only blood, guts, and all that stuff, AEW is way better than NXT, in my opinion. And that's why when they went
ahead... I just gave you numbers that showed that you're wrong.
Did you wait?
Rampage and NXT.
What are you talking about? If you go when NXT was going up against NXT one-on-one, AEW was beating them, and that's why they had to move. They had to move it out.
Frankie. Watch my lips. I'm not even going to cover my face. I'm going to try to look right at the camera. You are saying AEW Rampage. Not AEW pay-per-view Double or Nothing. Not AEW Dynamite. AEW Rampage. And NXT. Compare those two. That's all I'm saying. No, NXT is not better when you have Adam Cole, Chris Jericho, and all those. No. But when you throw it against a taped Rampage, it's better. The numbers are better. I'm not saying the performances are better. I'm saying the numbers are showing that more people are watching NXT than AEW Rampage.
AEW Rampage is taped, but it's also on a Friday, and it's also at 10 o'clock. There's a lot of people who are not home at 10 o'clock watching AEW. And
time slot. So okay, the time clock. Let me show you. I'll just show you who did
it. But you making it seem like if AEW has enough talent to showcase for 5 hours a show, and I think adding 1 or 2 or 3 good other wrestlers, it's not gonna hurt them. You're not removing everything. Bringing Ryback is not going to destroy AEW. It's going to bring more eyes, and you could still create more storylines with it.
Separated it better, you can make more out of the 2 hours on Dynamite instead of squeezing in 16 segments every week so you can get everybody on a damn show. Now you can spread that over the 4 hours on 2 shows. But no, we're going to bring in 7 other diva stars, not even just regular stars. You're bringing in divas, Goldberg, Ryback. You're bringing in all these guys that are like, dude, how much ego do you want in that building for Collision? Because all the egos you're bringing in, there's going to be a damn Collision, all right.
I could understand the egos, but you also got to take into account Ring of Honor. A lot of these guys fight in Ring of Honor as well. How many hours is it in Ring of Honor? I mean, they're having a pay-per-view this upcoming week, if I'm not mistaken. So you still have you're only 5 hours for AEW, but you're forgetting Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor has plenty of time. Maybe not a lot of people tune into Ring of Honor, but these guys are also wrestling in Ring of Honor. There is plenty of wrestling out there. Bringing in 3 or 4 other guys is not going to kill them. Plus, the ones that are not you're not using, cut them and get them out of there.
Already got though, bro. I mean,
cut some of those guys that you don't use. Some of them that are irrelevant, that are not cutting it out in AEW.
Irrelevant though. You just don't use them properly.
Come on, you know that there's cuts left and right, so it isn't that they're not always using wrestlers correctly. There's some that are that is the case, but there's also some that just don't cut it. And when they don't cut it, you kick them out. You get them out. That's the way the wrestling business works.
You got to use them to show them that they can't cut it. They don't use half these guys.
They use the ones that bring in viewership and the people need to see it. Because Dynamite doesn't do bad. They do enough. And apparently TNT agrees with whatever AEW is doing because they give them a second show.
As long as you got any numbers, TNT's going to agree with you. They haven't reached $1 million since CM Punk left.
Because they cater to the hardcore wrestlers of AEW.
That's not my freaking issue, though, Frankie. That's TK's issue. If you want to grow, we have talked about this over and over. I get it. I get what you're saying. That's just what they're going to go with, so that's what you're going to go with. But at some point, you've got to, as a company, make a decision. What are we going to do? Are we going to grow? Or are we just going to sit here and have a good show, get good numbers, and stay what we are? Number 2, by a distance.
Yeah. How long has WWE been in business? How long has AEW been in business? Okay. You can't compare both companies, man. It's too big of, there's too much history in WWE. Look at that. We were talking earlier about how Rikishi can be brought into the bloodline. Look at the pop they just did in Backlash when they brought Carlitos back. You don't have that in AEW. You have to develop it. So it's going to take time. I'm not going to go.
How do you develop it, though? Again, I go back to this. How do you develop? By using guys.
They are using
guys that were created by WWE, WCW.
They are using guys.
Crap.
They are using guys.
Use what?
They are using guys. They just promoted Sammy.
You need
Darby.
To your own guys is what I'm saying, though. Bringing in Ryback and Goldberg, those are just, you're bringing in WCW guys that made money. You brought in Sabu because he's an ECW guy. Yeah, that's why Sabu came in.
We agree with that. Sabu decision was dumb. And we both agree with that. And okay, I understand that, but bringing in 1, 2, 3 guys that are gonna get a pop doesn't hurt, man. I mean,
who's the pop?
You don't think I've already mentioned this before? Bring in Bill Goldberg, bringing in now Ryback. Those guys bring pops. I'm gonna tune in. Will you tune in if Ryback comes back?
No.
Let's ask the chat. Ask the chat.
Okay, chat. Will you tune in? Ryback, does he move the needle for you? Ryback.
We'll see what the chat says. For me, I'm gonna tune in. And just because I'm an AEW fan does not mean that I'm not I'm just tuning in for the hell of it. I think Ryback brings a good story. And you even brought it up, the CM Punk with Ryback. That's a great storyline to use. Great.
How is that a great storyline?
They both hate each other.
CM Punk said he wouldn't work him again.
Yeah, but you work them. Now you work them. You make it work.
Okay.
Look at that. Look, Karen actually says Ryback no, but Orange Cassidy yes. But Orange Cassidy, what is he? Isn't he the international champion? He is, and he's wrestling every Dynamite. Again, you're saying that they're not developing or they're not using their developmental fighters. They always are showcasing Orange Cassidy, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin. Yes, they didn't showcase Hobbs, but he's been there. He's been relevant. They put him in that promo with QT Marshall.
They use the same guys, but Frank, I'm not arguing the fact that they don't develop some talent, but you have a lot of other talent that's never been seen.
Like who?
It is your talent.
Like who? Tell me.
We've said Hobbs over and over and over.
They were using him in the promos with QTTV.
That's a hell of a way to push.
He was a TNT champion a couple weeks
ago,
maybe a couple months ago.
And you ended it because you never should have took the title off Wardlow to begin with. So you had to put the title back on him so that Wardlow could beat him.
But you said that Hobbs is not being used. So if Hobbs is not being used, he was just a TNT champion right there. Wardlow, another guy.
I'm sorry. Hobbs was on TV for 3 weeks in 52 weeks this year on TV.
He was used. And they're going to use him again. They're going to use him again at the Collision. My question to you is, if your excuse is Hobbs is the only one that you could come up with that is not being used correctly in AEW or not being showcased, but yet you still see him. We still see him. Tell me who else. Who else do you want to see? Who else have they not showcased in AEW that you could go ahead and say, oh, you know what? Because if you tell me somebody, I'll be like, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. They shouldn't be bringing other people because they are putting people in the back burner. And you can't say that about El Idolo because he's a WWE product. You can't say about Thunder Rosa because Thunder Rosa was injured. You can't say that about Miro because Miro was not a developmental wrestler from AEW. He's from WWE. Tell me. There isn't. And you're making it seem like they want to bring up their people. Who are their guys that we're missing that they're supposedly not bringing? So you got to look it up because you saw that it's the truth. They're using the guys that they have.
All right, here you go. I'm going off their roster.
Okay,
right now. This is just a little bit too. All right, let's see. Brian Cage, Lance Archer. I think Angelico's injured, so I won't use him. Kip Sabian.
He's been used.
Really?
He has been used. Yes, he has. Maybe because you don't watch Rampage, but yes, he has been used. Yes.
All right. I think Action Andretti's injured now. Alex Reynolds. What about any of the Dark Order?
Are you serious? Are you serious? The Dark Order? Dark Order guys?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, no. Okay. There's only one decent guy from the Dark Order.
Who's that?
The little guy with the muscles that's always like...
Alex Reynolds is pretty good.
There isn't a lot, man. I'm telling you right now. And yes, there we know there's a Karen and a you saw that on the chat, right? A Karen and a, how do you say his name? Karun. There's two.
Yeah, no, I know. That's where I messed up Karun earlier because I was like, Karen? I was like, wait a minute. That's always messing with me. All right, so
you got Orange Cassidy, you got Danhausen, but Danhausen hardly wrestles. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Garcia's iffy because
he's injured
once in a while.
Oh, yeah. And Dante Martin is injured. Look at their roster.
Chris Garrison, Hook, Isaiah Cassie's injured, JD Drake. They could do more with Jake Hager.
Okay, they could do more with Jake Hager. I could agree. But again, Jake Hager is not an AEW product. He's just a WWE guy.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying, but I'm even saying, like, even the guys that you've already signed, you're not using.
You got Bandito. Bandito was showcased on the 21 Battle Royal. Brandon Cutler. I don't know what happened to him.
Talking pay-per-view.
Okay, maybe the Brian Pillman Jr. and his buddy. Maybe them. Maybe I don't know if they're injured or whatnot, but maybe they could be ones that you could probably showcase them a little bit more. I know at one point in time they were being showcased for a while, but I haven't seen them in a minute.
But I think you do more with Lee Moriarty. I know he gets a few things there. Luther, you can do more with. There's guys all over the place here. I mean, there's guys I don't even know who some of these guys are.
See, Evo
Al, I know you can do more with.
Eddie Kingston is her. Evo Uno. Evo Uno is.
I don't know what's going on with like Nyla. You know, Pac hasn't been. But there's this thing with Pac where he has to go for 6 weeks and then come back for 6 weeks. So
yeah,
can't really blame them on that. Preston Vance, I know he's getting a little bit more now, but I think you could do more with some of these guys. John saying that everybody.
John Silver is the one from Dark Order.
No, I know that's who you're talking about when you said muscles. Ryan Nemeth, which is Dolph Ziggler's brother.
Really not that many people, man.
Are you really kidding me? You know they got Shad Khan as AEW roster? On the AEW roster, they have Shad Khan.
I mean, I agree with you that they could have done a little bit more with Lance Archer.
Luke Grayson. You know, I mean, there's the Toa Leona guy, but I get some of these guys. See, they've mixed up their roster with the guys that they've got. Some that are going,
the Ring of Honor,
strictly Ring of Honor too. So it's kind of difficult on.
And maybe they could do a little bit with Ortiz.
Some of their things, yeah, but I think they might be waiting for Santana if Santana's going to come back. So yeah, I don't know about that.
There's just a lot of guys that you really don't like. I mean, Sonny Kiss is one of their products that they kind of laid off from. I know he used to perform really well, but you know.
No, I think there's guys there and gals there that you can use, and also you can take the time that you have right now, where you're doing 16 segments on a Dynamite, and make some of those segments mean something.
That I agree.
Some of that stuff to Collision. You know what I'm saying? So it's again, it's all on Tony Khan and creative and how they want to figure out the best way to lay out the program. But I think, look, man, and we can go back and forth because you're going to have your guys you want to see, and I'm going to have guys that I don't want to see. So we can go back and forth all day on.
Good,
on
yeah.
Guys. But to me, I believe they have enough there right now to continue on with what they have with the two shows. Now bringing back CM Punk helps tremendously. Don't get me wrong. If you can't get CM Punk back, which I think he's back, but if you can't, then maybe you have to do that Goldberg just to have that big first show buzz. But I'm pretty sure CM Punk's back since it's in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, we went at it for a minute there.
Yeah.
But
all good, all fun, all done. Performer of the week.
How about you go first? That way I could think of somebody, because I had somebody.
Jimmy Uso, because he finally imploded the bloodline and kicked that some bitch right in the face.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I liked JD McDonald against Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler, you like the way they brought him?
Yeah, he was
kind of how you can showcase guys. I'm not saying that they do everybody good, but they brought McDonough in right, man.
Yes. You saw he started destroying Dolph Ziggler, and then he got DQ. No, double count out. So that was
yeah. And then you heard another thing, just real quick. There was a guy that fought last Sunday, or not last night, but Sunday night. Ilja. Oh my goodness, I had his name and I went off of it. The guy that took on Dijak in the last man standing match. And there's talk of him coming up to be with Imperium. Can't think of his name right now.
I know that they showcased what is that group? What was their name? It was
Dragunov. Isaac Dragunov is talk. There's talk of him possibly coming up to be the fourth member of Imperium. So that would make, well, now that Bloodline's kind of shattered, you'll have Judgment Day. That's a 4-person group. You'll have
with
4-person
with JD McDonough. I think wasn't it JD McDonough who was
JD McDonough supposedly is going to be joining Judgment Day, which would give them 4 men on the men's side. I was counting 4 with Rhea right now as a 4-person group. But I wonder if they're going to start doing something with that.
And they showcase Indus Shear. Is that their name? Yeah.
This year, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is Veer Muhammad and Sagna?
With Jinder Mahal.
Yeah.
No, and they're bringing them in right. They're just schooling, they're jobbing. They're getting little jobber guys, the independent guys that come in and.
Well, they're doing Veer Muhammad better. I like the fact that they dropped him. He was in the roster fresh, and then they dropped him to NXT, and now they're bringing him back, right?
Yeah. They brought him in. He was
I don't remember his name.
They did the vignettes forever, and then he worked like 3 shows, and then he was gone.
Yeah, because nobody was like.
They sent him back to NXT because again, it's about how you present them, and it's you can do all these great vignettes, you can do all this stuff. I never forget Edge, and I know we're almost over time, and we went a lot longer than I wanted to go, but
we always do.
Edge talked about how they were filming all these cool ass vignettes with him in the subway and doing all these things, and he's like, and then the first time I debut, and everybody's like, what the hell is this guy? Because it didn't come off as as flashy as he had to become more about the Edge coming through the crowd. Because the first time they had him come out, he came out through the curtain. And he's like, we can't do that. That doesn't work. You do all these things of me in a subway and I'm running through and this and that, and I need to come through the crowd. And luckily for them, again, they worked on it. And so we'll have to see, again, it's about presentation and delivery. Sometimes it's the performer, and sometimes fans just don't go with it, man. It's happened.
True.
It's happened a lot, man.
Yes.
Let's see. Karun says, wasn't one of the guys from Jinder's group a baseball player in real life? Yes. I believe, I don't know. Actually, you know what? Karun, hold on a minute. I believe it's one of the guys that was let go was a baseball player. I don't know if it was one of these 2 guys, but there was another guy that was signed by NXT that was a baseball player, but I believe he might have been let go. I'll have to research that and get that answer to you. And tune in next Tuesday to get the answer, by the way. Just a little teaser there. Yeah. No, but we want to thank everybody that's been on. Karun, Nicholas, VOD Vault. Hey, hit them up at Big O Radio Show at yahoo.com. Karen Joseph, Karun, always appreciate you. DJ Mimo, always appreciate you. 2 a time. It's almost 2 a time.
Oh, man.
Oh, buddy. Nicholas again. Cat for Life, Giovanni, Armando, Terry, EJD Jr., Boss B, when you coming back, buddy? Armando V, Armando Swaim, Big Nick, South Florida Accountability, Chad, Terry, EWD Jr., Steve Gonzalez, my dad.
We had a few people.
You, Frankie Frezko, we appreciate you each and every week.
We had a couple.
We had a few.
Yeah.
We had a few.
Hey, don't forget to follow us.
Yes. Follow at Frezko Music. That's on all your channels. Correct. Instagram, everything same, Frezko Music.
Yes, sir.
And you can follow me at Sean_Stanley11. That is also on all social media, including TikTok. I'm trying to get into TikTok. I
was in TikTok, but then I'm afraid because TikTok, they know how to get into all your stuff. I don't like that. That's why I got out of TikTok. I know all social media already does it, but
all you're gonna do if you get into my stuff is you're gonna get my debt. That's all you're getting, buddy. Take my bill, take them.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So
I was reading what Karun wrote, but yeah, I know one of them guys were. So yeah, but make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and then also SquaredCircleDigest.com will be coming on board. It's up now, but it's still under. Oh, I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I thought you were flexing for a minute.
You see the hat? You see the hat?
I see Danhausen back there. I see him. WrestlingDigest.com is on the board.
Awesome.
But we're still getting it updated, so stick with it and go there. Appreciate any support you give there. And then that's about it, man. If you want to, you can subscribe to my own personal YouTube channel, Sean Stanley Sports Talk. I'm putting a little bit of things in NASCAR and some other stuff on there as well. So
very nice.
Appreciate you all.
We got to do the draft for the AEW.
Yes, you got Ryback, you got Goldberg, you've got who else you getting? You want anybody else? Mercedes Moné, you've got the 3 picks already.
You got me. You know me so much. You know me.
Karoon, we appreciate you. Another great episode. Great job, Gain. Niggas Colmanara says, go Heat. Look at that. You're going to be able to retire that, baby. You're going to be able to retire that soon.
The greatest. He's going to retire? No, he won't.
Any final parting shots?
Let's go Heat. Let's go Panthers. Let's go Inter Miami. Let's go Marlins. Shout out to Big O. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to all you guys for tuning in. And we'll see you next week.
Shout out to everybody that Frankie just said, including a shout out to Mr. Frezko himself. Make sure you follow him, Frezko Music. He's been hitting up some gigs lately. I don't know, you call them gigs? What do you call them?
You've been checking it out, huh?
Oh yeah, I get notified, man. I'm notified by you, buddy. We're partners in this bad boy.
I'm trying to. I get hit up a lot to DJ here and there, but last week I was slammed. I had like about 4 gigs, so it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard when I have to catch up and just the wrestling show and then watching the basketball game, watching the Panther game. I'm gonna try to go to the Stanley Cup playoffs. They're expensive as hell, but we're gonna figure it out. Definitely figure it out. Then obviously the pay-per-views, it's just a lot of stuff. Plus my regular 9-to-5 job. So it's
that's garbage.
Yeah, out of everything, that is the garbage. Yeah. Screw that.
So make sure you follow him at Frezko Music and see everything he's got, all the happenings, man.
And Sean, don't forget.
And we got a lot of wrestling events coming up when Boss B comes back in June too.
Yes. Just let me know. Give me boss. Let us know. Let us know when.
What's going on? I am now officially 95%. So we're doing good. I'm on the mend and be back in no time.
And the viewership. Last show we did really good. So thank you for tuning in, guys. Yes. We had a good amount of people tonight as well. So it's good. We're growing little by little. We're growing.
Let people know, man. We want to have more people. We want to make this interactive. We try to interact with everybody and let your friends know if they're wrestling fans. Maybe they're closet wrestling fans because a lot of times people don't watch wrestling. But
next week, guys, let's all start the chat by putting hashtag bring Ryback. Bring him.
In the words of the great Golden Soleil, so long from the Sunshine State.